Meet Sheriff Clarence Dupnick of Pima County, Arizona. Sheriff Dupnick says Arizona may have passed this new law telling police officers to stop people for just looking like illegal immigrants. They may have passed that law, but he says it's not enforceable. He says it's also wrong. He explained to Keith Olbermann tonight on Countdown this evening why he will not enforce it.
I've been a cop for 52 years. I'm not sure what reasonable suspicion means, and I suspect that's going to be constitutionally vague. I think it was enacted in Arizona to make the legislature feel good, possibly to deflect some of the attention they get on the poor management, especially of financial issues in this state. They've done a horrible job. And second of all, I think it's just racist.
Sheriff Dupnick says he cannot and will not enforce the new law, which of course legally requires you to carry on your person at all times proof of your right to be in this country. You can be arrested and put in jail for not being able to prove you are not an illegal immigrant. Pima County, just so you know, includes Tucson, which is Arizona's second largest city. And finally, in protest of Arizona's terrifyingly regressive anti-immigrant law, people, cities, and organizations are already calling for boycotts against the state, including a boycott against Arizona iced tea. It's got Arizona right there in the title. Easy target, right? Alas, as pointed out in the New York Daily News today, Arizona iced tea, despite its name, is a New York company. So in order to prevent any additional accidental targets, we have made a list of things you can patronize without violating the terms of any boycott should you choose to protest in such a manner. You may, for example, still watch the movie Raising Arizona. The residuals go to the people who made the movie, not to the state. You may still get regrettable tattoos of phoenixes. And if you're boycotting because of the new law, you probably can't support the Suns basketball team. The actual sun, the sun itself, still totally fair game. Also, there's a very nice cocktail known as the Diamondback. Feel free there, too. We're here to help. As of 10:42 a.m. Central Time yesterday, any woman seeking an abortion in the great state of Oklahoma must now undergo an invasive medical procedure at least an hour before the abortion, or preparation for the abortion. The state of Oklahoma now mandates that regardless of medical need, every woman seeking to have that legal medical procedure must also be forced to have an ultrasound. And her doctor is ordered by the state to insert the ultrasound transducer vaginally, if that would provide the clearest image of the fetus. It's not the doctor's choice. The state mandates this. The woman seeking an abortion cannot say no, nor can the doctor. The ultrasound images will now have to be displayed where the woman can watch while she undergoes the procedure. Oklahoma's lawmakers will allow the woman to avert her eyes from the image if she wants. That's Oklahoma's definition of choice. Now, if you can't win the constitutional arguments and you do have to allow some women to get abortions some of the times because of that darn Constitution, you can at least make it as vile, physically invasive, and emotionally traumatic as possible, right? Joining us now is Anita Freem, the head of the Central Oklahoma chapter of Planned Parenthood. Ms. Freem, thank you very much for being here tonight. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Oklahoma legislature easily overrode Governor Henry's veto of this measure. Is there any political strength in Oklahoma behind stopping this? Is the governor pretty much on his own?
There are folks who have been working with the governor, been trying to support these efforts. I have to say, though, it does seem that we're in the minority.
There are still two other bills under consideration in Oklahoma. One I know would force women to fill out a very detailed questionnaire about why they are seeking an abortion. It would post some of that information online. Another would restrict insurance coverage for abortions. What do you think the prospects are for those bills?
I don't see a whole lot of hope for stopping them. I think the prospects are probably good. I spoke earlier this evening with the Center for Reproductive Rights about the possibility of additional lawsuits, and that is always still a possibility. We just don't know yet at this point. They did say that there are many constitutional issues with the reporting requirements law.
That same organization suing against the measure that was just passed by the legislature over the governor's veto, of course. Let's say the insurance can't cover abortions bill passes. What do you think the impact of that would be ultimately on women in Oklahoma?
Well, I think we'll have the same impact that is the goal behind a lot of these laws, which is just to make it increasingly difficult to have access to what is supposed to be a fundamental right. make it harder and harder to get abortions, put more stumbling blocks in the way, make it more expensive, make doctors more reluctant to do the procedure.
Is it your feeling, as CEO of Planned Parenthood in Central Oklahoma, is it your feeling that the effect of these laws is essentially to make abortion so difficult to obtain that it is functionally illegal in Oklahoma, even if the Constitution still nominally protects it?
I do think that's the effect, and it's very clear that that's the ultimate goal. That's not a secret. That's a strategy that's talked about fairly openly.
How many abortion providers are still operating in Oklahoma? And I guess, what's the morale of those healthcare providers right now, given this environment?
I think there are about 3. I may be missing one in there. Morale varies. We have good relationships with our local provider, who is a wonderful person. But, you know, it's tough. Every time one of these new laws goes into place, it makes it harder to provide the procedure and makes their legal risk greater and restricts what kinds of medical decisions they can make, which is something I assume no doctor wants to have to deal with.
In terms of Oklahoma, in the broader context of what's happening with abortion rights in this country, a lot of people who are pro-choice are looking at what's happening in Oklahoma, in Nebraska, and some other states that have considered very restrictive measures recently. There seems to have been a flurry of them recently. And they're wondering if national assistance, national help speaking out about these matters helps or hurts, whether or not people addressing these issues nationally seem like carpetbaggers to those of you, for example, in Oklahoma, or whether or not at this point people who are pro-choice in Oklahoma want national help.
The need for national help is definitely here. We need everyone speaking out, no matter where they're from. I know what you mean about the carpetbagger issue. I suppose that probably is an issue at times, but we need the voices worse. We need people to speak out.
Anita Frame, CEO of Planned Parenthood in Central Oklahoma, thank you very much for your time tonight. Really appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
We turn now to our dubious documentation correspondent, Mr. Kent Jones. Hi, Kent.
Hi, Rachel. You remember the Republican fundraising letter that was designed to look like the 2010 census form?
Yeah.
Right? Well, there's a new piece of Republican document trickery going on. Check it out.
Okay.
In Orange County, California, people were reportedly approached by petitioners who asked them to sign their names for, among other causes, legalizing marijuana. Some of them thought, legalize pot? Sure, dude. Where do I sign? Put the pen down. Step away from the clipboard. What their signatures actually meant was that those pot-supporting Californians had just registered for the Republican Party. In one stroke, people went from easing pot laws to joining forces with John Boehner. Whiplash. According to the Orange County Register, since March, 99 written complaints were filed by voters who said they were registered as Republicans without their consent. The Register reports that signature gatherers lied, misrepresented themselves, and some even pretended they were students collecting signatures for a class project. What class is that? Introduction to voter fraud? The California Republican Party created the problem by offering an $8 bounty for each new registration. Voila! Beer money! Consider this a warning. The next time someone asks you to sign here to save the adorable kittens or nominate summer as America's official feel-good season or something like that, read every word. And then ask yourself, am I helping John Boehner?
Also, blame Acorn somehow.
Yes.
Thank you, Kent. Appreciate it.